I mean, I used it for a long time, and it was exactly that. You could put it in and see it and be like, oh, there's an EVP.
Oh, that's incredible. What a smart idea to do it with the bird calls. I would have never thought of that.
And I didn't either. And I always have to give him credit. Like, he had a lot of outside the box thinking, you know? So that was one of the ones I was like, that is a great idea.
Yeah. And if any of our listeners out there are avid bird listening fans, and you know what this software is, by all means, send us a message and we'll share it with the whole world.
It was unreal. And it did. Like, and what we would do in that program too is to like know that we weren't catching false positives is I would take clips of my team and just have them all say the same thing. I'd have them say something like their name, and then I'd have them whisper their name. And I would put that in there against, like, if I thought something was them, you know, I would compare the frequency levels. And even if they whispered, it's the same range. So I would take that thing and put it against what I thought was an EVP, and you could see the clear difference in the frequency levels. It was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. That's fascinating.
See, we learn all sorts of interesting ways to hunt ghosts on this podcast. That really is an outside
of the box idea. I love that.
Any final stuff you want to talk about or tell us about?
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for having me on. I got a couple stuff that we're going to be having, like, events coming up.
Cool. Yeah. Let us know.
In October, it's going to be basically kind of like our farewell month for a while with doing events because of the baby coming. In Point Pleasant on October 5th, there's a meet and greet with friends of ours from the Hillbilly Horror Stories podcast, which is a great podcast. They invited us to come up to their meet and greet with Brohio Podcast and History Goes Bump, and going to talk a little bit about Mothman and experiences we've had at the TNT bunkers. Tickets for that, you can find it on eventbrite.com if anybody's in the area, wants to go. You know, it's in Point Pleasant, West Virginia. On October 12th, Annie is doing a paranormal panel at the Festival of Fright. It is a festival they do every year in Nitro, West Virginia, and she's going to be doing it with Dave Spinks, who's kind of like he's a paranormal cryptid guy. He's from West Virginia. Great guy. She's been friends with them for a long time, so they're going to be doing a panel about ghost hunting, cryptids, all that kind of stuff. And October 19th, that Festival of Fright, it's free for anybody who wants to come check it out in the Nitro, West Virginia area. And like I said, on October 19th, we're doing a public ghost hunt at Lake Shawnee. At 8 p.m. it starts. It's in West Virginia. It's going to be a great time. It's going to be me and Annie and Gateway Paranormal. They're from Tennessee. Great guys. They have a lot of cool stuff on YouTube. They actually just released a documentary last month about a place that they investigate a lot called Wheeldon. It's on Amazon Prime, so you can check that out. It's called Finding Wheeldon. Tickets for this event are $75, but you get to stay there from 8 p.m. till the sun comes up the next morning, and you can camp on site if you want to. You can go to eventbrite.com and find tickets for that, or you can go to wvlakeshawnee.com and check out our podcast. It comes out every week, either on Wednesday or Thursday. It just depends on when the stuff gets uploaded. But Serial Spirits, you can follow us on Twitter at Serial Spirits. Find us on Facebook, facebook.com/Serial Spirits, and on paranormalwarehouse.com. We're all over the place. So if you guys like creepy stories, serial killer stories, that's us. You can find us. We're like the Unsolved Mysteries of podcasts.
Oh, gosh, that's awesome. I like that, the Unsolved Mysteries of podcast. Well, cool. Thank you so much, Brendan. We're so happy you came on. Please send all of our love to Annie and the baby. And let us know about how these future hunts go. Keep in touch. Our listeners down in West Virginia, please go sign up. It sounds like a really awesome time. I wish we were going down there too.
Me too. And if you guys are ever in the area, you want to trek out this way, well, you got a place to stay. So,
right. That's sweet. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you guys for having me on. I really do appreciate it, and I hope it wasn't too boring.
Oh gosh, not at all. No, this was awesome.
It's fabulous. Thank you.
Faceless, full-bodied apparitions. Are you serious? That's awesome.
And to find out that you guys saved a whole building, that was pretty cool. And most importantly, if you think there's paranormal activity in your house, check the light switch. It might be bad.
Yeah, check the light switch. If the lights are flickering, tap on the wall above the light switch, and if it goes out, it's a loose connection. Call electrician.
There we go. All right, cool, Brendan. Thanks so much. We'll talk to you later.
All right, thank you guys.
Well, that was so great, wasn't it?
It really was.
Yeah, he's a delight. I love his accent, too.
Yeah, me too.
I'm kind of bummed out Annie couldn't be on because she has I don't want to say a better accent, but
Stronger?
she has a very nice voice.
Okay, great.
She's a great voice. And yeah, any of our listeners down in West Virginia, be sure to go check them out. Because that sounds like a lot of fun. Let us know how it went.
Yeah, send pictures.
I'm here with Tim Ellis, the writer of the Boston Circus Guild's production of Cirque of the Dead. So, Tim, thanks for joining me, and what are we here talking about today?
We are talking about Cirque of the Dead, which is Boston Circus Guild's Halloween production. It goes up at the last 2 weekends of October at Oberon in Harvard Square.
And that's here in Cambridge?
And that is there in Cambridge. It is right in Harvard Square, sort of just down the street a little bit. The American Repertory Theater and the Oberon in particular does a really great job of sort of working with a lot of local artists. They do small sort of weekend-long shows. They do a lot of not just theatrical productions, but comedy events. And for us, circus. And so they sort of bring us in. We've done other work with them before. The Boston Circus Guild has worked with them in collaboration before. We spent the last 2 years or so being artists in residence there. So we started with a production called Speakeasy Circus a couple of years ago that went through several iterations. We've done a show called Midnight at the Midway. That was a couple of years ago now. But the Cirque of the Dead Halloween production that we produce has been one of our most successful productions ever. And they love it a lot, and we love it a lot. It brings in a lot of amazing people and audiences, and the show is different every year, and so it's like a great way to sort of bring in new crowds, new circus, new audiences, and it's super fun.
Great. And so how many years have you been doing the Circus of the Dead?
So Cirque of the Dead has been going, this will be its, I think, 7th year in production. Our first year was very experimental. It looked nothing like what it does now. We're sort of still getting our footing, but in the last 6 years, myself and one or two other folks have sort of taken on the task of writing and emceeing and sort of producing the show. The Boston Circus Guild produces the show under their banner and pulls in all of their performers and auditions all of our performers every year. And so it went from sort of a, experimental variety, Halloween, weird, bizarre show to being what is now a sort of 90 minutes largely scripted. There's a storyline that goes from point A to point Z with many weird pit stops along the way. And so, and so this last year or two, I have taken on the role of writer and MC on my own. And so the show, takes a sort of new theme every year. And this year we're super excited for yet another version of that. This year we're doing like a ghost hunting inspired show. So we're doing paranormal investigation through the theater and finding all of the spirits and nasty ghoulies that find their way out of the cracks and crevices of the walls and stuff. Each of the feature circus performances that happen are sort of justified through that lens, right? And so all of the performances that come out are all ghosts or spirits or something that we're sort of interacting with. And so the cast members each sort of put together their own circus feature performances that they perform. And I and the production team help to sort of coalesce the whole thing together and build a script around the sort of ideas that they've come up with. And then we sort of go from there.
Okay, and so these ideas that they've come up with and kind of based their own performances around, are these often based on experiences that they have had in their own lives or stories that they've heard along the years or basic imagination?
Sure, yeah. I think mostly it comes from their brains. There's a lot of creativity that goes into the show, and this, as circus performers, I'm also a circus performer myself. I'm a juggler and an acrobat, and so I sort of know the performance stuff as well from that angle. And circus performers get asked to do a lot of the same stuff, which is fun and great, but it's very, shiny gold and glitter costumes and, put on your smiley face and go do your circus performance. And so this Cirque of the Dead performance is not only a chance for them to sort of artistically put on a totally new face, right? How often do you get to go do a circus show where you get to like have blood dripping down the side of your face and like have like weird ghoul makeup and, you know, be horrible colors and stuff. And so it's a great chance for our artists to sort of let their hair down, as it were, and sort of go for something completely different, completely outside the box of what we usually get to do throughout the year. And so every year we sort of send out auditions and we say, give us your ideas, send us your weirdest, ghouliest, nastiest ideas that you've got. And they come up with some very creative things. Out of that, select the ideas that we feel best fit the show this year based on sort of what we've seen in the past. Sort of build it from there, but it means that every circus feature act that is in the show is 100% brand new. They've never been done before. Often the performers are not only trying new techniques, but trying new creative uses of the apparatuses that they use in ways that they haven't before. They sort of explore them in different ways. And we hire a director to also help us come in and sort of coach them through some exploration and development. So every circus performance that is in the show is basically brand new and will probably never be seen again.
So this is sort of like a once in a lifetime opportunity for people to get there and to see some of these performances, exactly. And for the performers themselves to be able to branch out and really show their inner shine. Yes?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, great. So I mean that just sounds like a really wonderful experience for everyone, both in the audience and in the cast themselves. And who is your director?
Our director this year is Corinne Mason, and she's been a super wonderful addition to the project. She's brand new this year, working with us, but we're super excited to have her on board.
Can you just talk a little bit about why somebody who's interested in ghost stories would be absolutely thrilled to go and see the Cirque of the Dead?
Oh, absolutely. So Cirque of the Dead this year is themed on paranormal investigation. And so it opens with exactly that. It opens with a sort of exploration of some ghost stories. We sort of create our own, for the purposes of the theater, we create our own stories that we've heard, about the venue, about the area, about the history of the place. And so over the course of the show, we are sort of, as a investigation team, hunting through the backstage and the onstage and the corners of the theater, and we're looking for spirits and the ghosts that we've heard about. And then over the course of the show, those spirits come to life and they actually go and perform there. And so they're the circus feature performances that happened are these spirits that we've heard about. And so we explore them and we sort of hunt them out from the corners and the crevices, and then up they come, up the ropes, up the fabrics onto the stage, wherever it is, and they perform their circus.
Great. Do you think that people might recognize any of the ghoulies and the ghosts that you find in the corners? Are any of them, do you have like a Lizzie Borden who shows up with an axe or anything? Or
Not specifically. A lot of the characters have been sort of generated organically, and so they're original creations. That said, there are some references, both historical and popular culture, that will make their way into this show. Sure, audiences will recognize.
All right, fabulous. Do you have any of your own ghost stories that you'd like to share with us?
I did work in a theater for a long time when I was in college, and I worked in a space that had been renovated and was lovely and was a lovely little black box theater, but was affectionately referred to and historically referred to as the coal bin theater, because it was back in the days of every campus had to have their own sort of coal-generated power. This was the space in which they literally shoveled all the coal, and so all through the ceilings, even though we had installed, theatrical lighting grids up into the ceiling, above all of that, there was like grid work, and you could see tracks and chutes and all the places where they sort of shoveled the coal and moved it around the building, and where the smoke would go out and the coal would come in and all of that stuff. And I will say that part of my job every night that I was there was to walk through the space after whatever group had used the space and make sure that they had locked the doors and cleaned up after themselves. It was, with all the lights off, one of the creepiest places I have ever been, and just the noises that happened in the corners, especially once I had gone into the next room, and I would hear things back in the room where I had just left, and I knew that I was the only person there because that was literally the whole point. And so I would have to sort of go and retrace my steps a number of times. And I'm not saying that I believe there were ghosts following me around, But I'm also not saying that I don't believe there are things that were following me around in that space.
Okay. That's certainly fair enough. One more time, the contact information, the who, what, where, when,